Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to continue talking about dining and doing deals. Okay, so remember last time we had a conversation between Charles and Gretchen, and they were going to meet some people after the World Food Expo. And there were some people that they wanted to treat to dinner in order to negotiate a contract. So that's what they were talking about. They were discussing where to go and have this meeting.
Right. Well, today we're moving on to a seminar that is being offered on smooth business dining. If you feel like you're not very good at this might be a seminar you would want to enroll in and take. So in this seminar, they're going to talk about what makes a good business dinner successful. It's going to be a webinar. Webinars, of course, are seminars that are held over the internet, and you're at home or at the office, and you will sign in, and you'll actually be taught by whoever's hosting the seminar online. I actually taught a webinar a couple of years ago, and it's the way to go nowadays because you can save in travel costs. And of course, with coronavirus, everybody was doing business meetings online. That's kind of what this is. So they're going to cover different things: hosting, etiquette, talking trade, payment. And we're even going to look at a comment that one of the seminar enrollees or webinar enrollees left on what they thought of the webinar itself, if it was helpful or not. But first, guys, as we always do, we're going to read through today's lesson, and then we'll be back to talk about some of these ideas and terms especially.
Talk of the Trade presents Dinner Time Deals, a webinar for business dinners. We'll cover several key points in this lecture. 1. Hosting. You need to make a good impression as a host. This section will address picking the right outfits, choosing a restaurant, and even knowing the role of alcohol in different cultural settings. 2. Etiquette. It may seem simple, but dining etiquette can make all the difference in a client's perception of you, and by extension, your company. We'll help you make the right decisions when it comes to exhibiting your best side as a diner. 3. Talking trade. Are you holding this dinner to establish a partnership? Perhaps you're here to celebrate your team's accomplishments. Whatever your circumstances, we've got you covered on how to navigate the meeting smoothly. 4. Payment. It's essential to understand tipping procedures whenever you dine, and deciding who takes care of the bill at the end of the meal is the final hurdle. Let us guide you through everything from start to finish. And before you know it, you'll be wining and dining clients with the best of them. Leave a comment.
This seminar really took the mystery out of doing business over dinner. Using the ideas presented here, I successfully reached an agreement with a new client and formed a stronger professional relationship in the process. The interpersonal skills this webinar addresses are vital to any business interaction. Highly recommended. Callie Landry, Sales Representative, AMC Corporation.
All right, everybody, it's time for us to discuss the contents of today's lesson. Now, this is some kind of information regarding a seminar, and if you're interested in attending a seminar or taking part in a webinar, then maybe this information here is something you should read first. It's kind of like an advertisement for a company that specializes in these sorts of things. And so if you're kind of in the dark about how to wine and dine your clients, then maybe you should consider participating in a seminar or webinar like this.
Oh, yeah. I can see this showing up in sort of a catalog of different seminars that are offered or provided. We would have these catalogs that were sent to us in business in our office, and sometimes we, look through the catalog to see what was available and what we might be interested in. Some departments would have training budgets that would cover these seminars or webinars if we wanted to attend or, listen in. So this is some of the information that they wanted you to know, or they want people to know so that they'll sign up for them. It says here that it's going to cover several key points in this lecture, and then they list some of those key points. If it's a lecture, it's usually someone who stands in front of a group of people and talks. It's not necessarily a discussion. You're listening to someone. Perhaps they're using PowerPoint so that they have some visual aids. That's what PowerPoint slides are. And typically, they'll have a Q&A at the end of the lecture. Or sometimes when someone's giving a seminar or doing a webinar, they'll ask for questions as they go through different points or key points that they're making. It depends. And if you're in college, especially if you're a freshman or a sophomore, you're in those big classes to begin with that everyone has to take. Usually you're listening to a professor lecture you, and then there's a test at some point in the semester. Those are kind of boring.
They can be indeed. I have to think back to college days to remember how boring they were. But again, this is some kind of organization called Talk of the Trade, and they're putting on a seminar on smooth business dining. And of course, it's all about dinner time deals, and it's a webinar for business dinners, a seminar that is online, a web-based seminar. Now, we'll cover several key points in this lecture. One is about hosting, okay? So, of course, if you are the person in charge and you are entertaining the guests, then you are the host. And the process of doing this is called hosting. And host can also be a noun and a verb. I am the host of this party, or I'm hosting this party. And what you need to do as a host, well, you need to make a good impression as a host, okay? So again, you need to impress your clients, or you need to impress the people who are invited to your seminar or to your business dinner or whatever. You need to make them think that you are responsible, wonderful, attractive, smart, intelligent person. Yeah, you need to make a good impression so they don't think you're some kind of idiot or something.
I was going to say a schmuck, which is kind of slang for kind of a jerk. So yeah, you need to make a good impression. You have to pick the right outfit, choose the right restaurant. In terms of the right restaurant, guys, you should probably talk to your client or vendor in advance and see if they have any food allergies. Maybe they're vegetarian or vegan, and you need to take that into account. That's important. And you need to know the role of alcohol in different cultural settings. For example, I know from my best friend who lives and works in Korea that everyone is supposed to drink alcohol. And if you don't drink alcohol, they kind of give you a hard time. It's very different in Korea. If you compare our two countries, Taiwan's not like that at all. I have a lot of Taiwanese friends who don't drink at all. But yeah, in Korea, even the women are kind of forced to drink.
Wow.
My friend had to have a pretty serious conversation with the president of the university.
The dean?
Yeah, and say, get off my back, which means leave me alone. Anyway, alcohol and what kind of food people like, those are two really important issues that you probably should talk about in advance.
Yep, you need to do your research and know the cultural habits of the clients that you are hosting so that there aren't any cultural misunderstandings and they get up from the table and go storming out of the restaurant and you've lost the deal. No, you've got to do some research, and perhaps this particular seminar will help you with that. Now, here's the second point. It's all about etiquette, which is basically the rules of interaction between people. What is polite, what isn't polite, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, etc., etc. So it may seem simple, but dining etiquette can make all the difference in a client's perception of you, and by extension, your company. So here in Taiwan, of course, you have some rules about when you eat. So if you invite someone from, say, Spain or something, or from Russia, Russia or whatever, and if they don't really know anything about cultural rules here regarding food and stuff like that, well, they're going to make a bad impression. If they, stick their chopsticks in their rice standing straight up or something like that, you're going to think, wow, these Russians are real savage animals. They don't know that you're not supposed to do that. So indeed, you need to give someone a good impression, and you need to influence the perception that your clients have of you. The perception, of course, is how they see you, and hopefully they will see you in a positive light.
Right. That can be kind of tricky, too. Etiquette, as Tom said, it's kind of the social behavior that most people think is acceptable. We tend to learn about etiquette as children, but not always. Some people grew up in families where etiquette wasn't talked about or stressed. My mom specifically would take us to restaurants when we were kids so that we could learn how to behave in a restaurant. Although some of the younger kids weren't always so cool. Anyway, yeah, sometimes you need to be taught as a young person. And if you didn't grow up with a mom or dad who taught you some etiquette that was appropriate, you need to learn it yourself, especially if you go into business and you're client-facing person. If you're client-facing, it means your job really is to do a lot of interaction with clients, and you want to come off as cool and as socially acceptable. Etiquette can differ from country to country, so you need to learn what that's like. Like if you go to France, they will typically kiss you on both cheeks, whether they know you or not.
Wow.
So yeah, you have to get used to that sort of thing. Don't try that, I would say, in some of these other countries. But Europeans, for the most part, will tend to do these air kisses. They don't really actually touch the skin on your cheek. They just touch the air near your face, especially if they don't know you. So yeah, by extension just means you're kind of related. They associate you with a company, and their opinion or perception of the company will be based on how they feel about you. You need to be careful with this stuff. It's important.
Yeah, basically, you represent the company. So if you look like a savage animal in front of them, they'll think that your company is also a bunch of savage animals. And they
or as my mom would say, you're acting like a bunch of monkeys at the table. Yeah,
you don't want to do that. That would be pretty atrocious, I should say.
Pretty inappropriate.
Inappropriate, exactly.
Yes.
So here it goes on to say, we'll help you make the right decisions when it comes to exhibiting your best side as a diner. Okay, so that's what this company is going to do in terms of etiquette, or 礼仪, as we translate it to Chinese. Here, point number 3 is talking trade, okay? I guess that's talking about business with another company because you're going to trade something. You're going to have some kind of relationship.
That's right. So it says here, are you holding this dinner to establish a relationship? In our earlier unit, we talked about how a business dinner, they were going to use that dinner to actually negotiate a contract. But other times, especially in my experience, our business dinners were more about developing a relationship. So we'd use that dinner to talk about, what we like to do in our free time and about our families and things like that. Don't ask personal questions, but if they offer or volunteer information, that's cool. It says here, perhaps you're here at the dinner to celebrate your team's accomplishments. Yeah, perhaps you are. Things that you've succeeded in attaining or actually accomplishing. You've set a goal and you managed to achieve that goal. Those are your accomplishments. So yeah, sometimes dinners have different purposes. You need to be clear on what your purpose is.
Exactly. Like you said, sometimes you just have these dinners to have some fun and have people get to know each other. But,
eat good food and drink, yeah.
Exactly. And then you just kind of forget about it and go home and be happy that you had a good time. But you might be holding the dinner in order to establish that partnership, to actually talk business and stuff like that. And you want to talk about your successes or your accomplishments. Whatever your circumstances, we've got you covered on how to navigate the meeting smoothly. So yeah, whatever your circumstances, whatever kind of situation that you're involved in, whether it's for fun or whether it's serious, hey, we've got you covered. We're going to help you understand this through our webinar, and we're going to help you navigate the meeting smoothly. So navigate, of course, means you find your way from point A to point B. That's what a navigator navigator does on a jet. They find the proper route from one airport to another, and in this case, it just helps you through the meeting, how to get from the beginning to the end of the meeting.
That's right. So payment. Let's move on to the next one. It's essential to understand tipping procedures wherever you dine. Yeah, that's really important. So a procedure is just the way something is handled, the order in which it's handled. A lot of countries don't accept tips, and then the really fine dining restaurants will add the tip to the bill sometimes, especially if you're in a big group. They'll automatically add a percentage, 10 to 15% on to the bill. But yeah, you need to know the procedures, how something is handled, and deciding who takes care of the bill at the end of the meal is the final hurdle. Hurdle just means something, some sort of obstacle, something that you need to get over cleanly so things go smoothly. So it says here, let us guide you through everything from start to finish, and before you know it, you'll be wining and dining clients with the best of them. Here is the final part here. They actually give you sort of a review of the webinar from one of their former webinar attendees. Her name's Callie Landry, and she was in sales, and she thought the seminar was really helpful. She says the seminar really took the mystery out of doing business over dinner. If you take the mystery out of something, it just means something that people didn't understand earlier is now very clear to them, and they feel confident, or at least more confident, about doing something when the mystery has been taken out of something.
Yep, to take something out of something else. Remove that thing so that it's no longer there. So indeed, doing business is no longer a mystery to Callie Landry. Now she knows what to do. And using the ideas presented here, I successfully reached an agreement with a new client and formed a stronger professional relationship in the process. So yes, we reached an agreement with a new client, and while we were doing that, in the process, we formed a stronger professional bond, a stronger professional relationship. And she goes on to finish here by saying the interpersonal skills this webinar addresses are vital to any business interaction. So interpersonal, between people, you need to have those kinds of skills. How to talk to people, how to use body language, when to say something, when not to say something. Those are all part of interpersonal skills. And this webinar addresses those concerns. It talks about them, it deals with them. They're vital. They're very important to any business interaction. Highly recommended. I really recommend this. I think other people should use it as well.
Yeah, that's an important thing to know about. I actually, before I buy things online, I read the reviews to see if people recommend a particular product. And it sounds like Callie loved the webinar. Okay, guys, it's time to listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to go over these discussion questions you can see right there. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 我们今天要看的是第10单元，我们要来谈谈 business dining。说到做生意，一边吃饭一边做生意，这种商务餐叙。不过呢，这边的标题里头有一个字 seminar， 我们来看 seminar 这个字，一般我们都表示研讨会。不过呢，现在的研讨会如果是在线上做呢，这种线上研讨会那就是另外一个字了，也就是下面看到的 a webinar。这个 webinar 是线上研讨会，跟前面我们一般用的 seminar 有所不同。我们来看看这个地方，就告诉大家这里呢会谈的有哪些。当你有一个 lecture， 也就是一个讲座，那讲座里头包括哪几个重点？一个很好的动词就是 cover， 它下面有1、2、3、4，这4点里面就先从第一个 hosting。如果说你是主持人的话，那你应该要怎么做呢？这里就会介绍说你该怎么穿，然后该选什么餐厅，甚至于你还要知道说酒这个东西在不同文化背景之下的作用。我们来看看这个动词 address， 因为我们提到这个部分会谈什么。 address 当动词其实它很好用，它有几个重要的解释，包括像这里的介绍、谈论、讨论。那有时候 address 就表示是向谁说话，对谁讲话。 那如果你在这个地方是当讨论介绍的话，要记得它后面直接加受词，所以说你看到后面的 picking the right outfits， 这个其实就是谈的内容，用的就是动名词，意思就是动作也要名词化。好，我们再来继续往下看，这第二个重点叫 adequate， 就是礼节。这一点他提到用餐的礼节其实很重要，因为这可以让你的客户对你的印象不一样，而且这样也相对就是你代表的公司，他对你公司的印象就从你这个用餐的礼节看出来了。那所以说这时候你就应该展现你最好的一面。这个讲座里就告诉你，他们会帮你来做出一个正确的决定，该怎么做。下面想到了有一个说，一谈到要展现你用餐者最好的一面 when it comes to 是一个很好的片语 when it comes to something， 这个 to 记得哦，它是介系词，所以后面呢，如果你讲某一个主题，那是名词，那如果是动作呢，一样的动词要改成 VING， 也就是变成动名词，就像这里 exhibiting your best side 动名词，因为 to 是介系词，一提到这一点，谈到某一点你要怎么做，他们会帮你做最好的决定。第三点 talking trade 叫做商业洽谈，想知道的是这一场参叙你的目的在哪里？你是要建立一个合作关系呢，还是说你是在庆祝你团队的成就？他就告诉你，不管是哪一种 whatever your circumstances， 注意到 circumstances 它指的就是你的状况，你的情况，这个字会加复数形的 as， 不管你的状况是怎样，你的情形是如何， we've got you covered。 好，我们注意到这个其实蛮常用，在口语中 we've got you covered 意思就是我们罩你，那你就懂了，这表示说我会帮你呢来顺利的达成目的。后面还要注意一个 on 这个介系词 on how to navigate the meeting smoothly， 这个 on 当然我们知道 on 介系词往往就表示后面有一个主题，就后面这件事这个主题来说我们会帮你。第四点 payment 付钱，谈到付钱，小费到底应该怎么算？然后呢，是谁付钱呢？他说到从头到尾都会指导你 from start to finish， 从头到尾，最后呢很快的，所以他说 before you know it， 你还没想到，也就是不知不觉间很快的，你就会可以很顺利的，不逊于任何人的款待客户。我们注意到这个地方的一个字 You'll be wining and dining clients， 这个的 wining 要注意到哦，它不是 winning， 因为它的原型是 W-I-N-E 是喝酒，所以看到了这个 ing 不要以为它是赢得，不是，因为它不是 W-I-N-N-I-N-G， 它是 W-I-N-I-N-G。 最后有一个 comments评论栏，那评论栏里面就提到这个研讨会揭开了商务参叙的神秘面纱，而且呢真的是很有帮助，因为他最后说到 highly recommended。 注意到为什么要用 recommended 用 ed 用过去分词呢？当然是因为它主词就是指这个研讨会是被推荐的。好，我们讲解就到这边结束，我们下次见。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, here are a couple of discussion questions for you today. We'll read these questions and we'll try to answer these questions, and hopefully we encourage you in your classroom setting to ask these questions of each other and to try to answer them as well. So here comes the first question. Have you ever attended a seminar or workshop on a specific topic? What was it about?
I have. I was manager of a department of people And I had a very difficult person who was really good at the job, but she didn't have good interpersonal skills. And a lot of the consultants would complain about her to me because she wasn't very patient with them or kind or whatever. So I took a seminar on working with people who weren't very emotionally developed, how to encourage her to be more positive and how to put, a spin on that. They thought it would be more productive for me to go and then talk to her about it than for her to go. So, and it actually ended up helping. But you need to be sure you're going to a quality seminar or a quality webinar. Not everybody who puts these on are good at what they say they do. So what about you, Tom? Have you gone?
Well, I used to teach at a Bushiban school system here in Taipei. I can't mention the name now, but of course they would want their teachers to get better all the time. So I indeed attended a number of seminars that were put on for the teachers to attend on various teaching techniques. And I must say that they were actually quite helpful. Like what you do with the first 5 minutes of your class, you review the previous lesson, then you maybe ask the students some review questions, but don't spend too much time on certain things because students get bored quickly and you need to keep things moving rather quickly and stuff like that. So yes, indeed, those were seminars about ESL, English as a second language, and they were quite useful. So there you go. There's the answers to our first question. Here's another question. How do you think business meetings might be different in Taiwan compared to other countries?
Oh, where do I start with this? One of the things I noticed is that Americans tend to all have a very strong opinion in the meetings, whereas when I attended business meetings here and the boss was in attendance, everybody would just kind of wait on the boss to give their opinion, whether it was a woman or a man. They would not, immediately have an opinion. They'd
just
wait.
Kind of clam up, right?
They'd wait to hear what the boss said. And, we just are so opinionated in America. We don't really worry too much about the boss's opinion. And usually the boss would listen to us, especially in my last job. Also, I've noticed that Americans must have food at every meeting they have. And that's not true here. So it was very different. I was used to always having a fruit tray and some sort of bread, and everyone has a drink. And yeah, we spend a fortune on just food for business meetings.
It kind of maybe keeps it more casual or whatever, but, to each his own.
We get fatter that way, though, too.
Yeah, that's not good. So, yeah, I think the Taiwanese probably do it better in that regard.
Totally.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time. And we wish you the best of luck with any seminars or webinars that you participate in the future. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.